Time for one last race around the circuit here at the Dubai Autodrome for this third round of the F4 Middle East Championship 2025, and it's going to be Alex Powell back in pole position where he rightfully belongs. After taking the victory in race 2 earlier, he will definitely have galvanised his mission. You're going to see that Alex Powell for the rest of this season. So his mission is pretty clear. Try and take as many points out of Emanuele Olivieri, who will join him on the front row of the grid for this final race of the weekend, as possible. And it's going to be very tricky because Olivieri has been pretty much an unmovable force at the front end of the field. Just been chatting with our fantastic safety team. The safety car drivers been keeping an eye on things. They had a bit of an interesting time of it yesterday. One of the drivers ended up at the head of the pack and they were trying to wave the driver on. They were giving me a little bit of an indication and an understanding as to how the drivers are signalled by, but if they don't get the message, then they're kind of stumped it into position. But this fantastic team that we've got here, from the safety team all the way along to the marshals, up and down the length and breadth of this start-finish straight and the pit lane, an amazing team led by the Sheriff, our Chief Marshal Imran. He's been fantastic guiding these fantastic members of the team to keep us all safe and sound, and I really want a big shout out to those marshals. Without them, we can't go racing at all. These guys and girls in the orange suits, so a valuable part of our sport, and it's the perfect way, if you're watching at home, if you want to get into the sport. It's how I started, and here I am holding a microphone in the middle of Dubai, so you can go on to amazing things from very small acorns. Right, we've got the drivers and the mechanics making their way onto the starting grid. Obviously there's a big pressure cooker now building on Alex Powell. Now that he's got that monkey off his back and got the victory, he's going to want to get a few more, but with that deficit in the points, it's going to be tricky. I caught up with him on Friday to see how his mindset is for the second half of the season. Well, Alex, we're almost at the midway point now of the championship, and the first 2 rounds at Yas Marina, let's put it this way, not what you wanted from the first 2 weekends. How do you sum up how things went at Yas?
Yeah, it was tricky. I think a lot of things didn't go our way, but there were a lot of positives to take. You know, we started the season collectively as a team in a really good way, so that's a really big positive to be taken. Obviously, round 1 was tricky. The pace was there, but a lot of things didn't go our way, and unfortunately, we lost a lot of points in that first round. But at least we were able to bounce back and show that racecraft was there, and also one lap speed was very much there the whole week. And round 2 was a bit more tricky the whole weekend. Struggling a little bit more in a few areas compared to round 1. We were able to bring home 3 decent results, but it still really wasn't what we were looking for. But in general, I would say I'm very proud of how we've kind of built the championship as a team. We've really been very strong. Now we just need to continue building on that momentum that we built in the first 2 rounds. And from my side, ironing out those mistakes that I made in the first 2 rounds and making sure that everything is put together from this point forward.
I guess from your side, it's about seeking positives through the adversity in the same way Oliver Behrman was here a few years ago and really struggled in the Middle East, and then it galvanized him to a strong European attack. Is that kind of the way you're looking at it?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, as for, the championship, we're quite far back now. So not really looking at that anymore. It's just making sure that we're doing the best job that we can do every weekend. And then where we end up, we'll end up. And yeah, for sure, looking ahead to the European season already, I'm sure that we'll have a strong campaign over there. But first, let's focus on finishing off this one well, and then we can look to the rest of the season.
The support from Mercedes must be so invaluable at a time like this, when obviously there's a lot of attention on you and a lot of expectation perhaps from the fans, but to have that grounding and the support of the team to really let you just do your own thing at your own pace, that must be such a relief at times.
Yes, of course. It's great to have such an incredible team behind me and supporting me in every aspect. So it's not just from a driving perspective, it's also from a personal perspective. Of course, having the supporting and their guidance helps a lot in a situation like this, and I'm sure that it will help me to get through it and come back stronger.
We saw the Mercedes. Great to hear from Alex Powell. That first victory has now finally gone his way in race 2 earlier today. The irony is he now gets to be on pole position for race 3 on this Dubai Autodrome circuit. There it is, 5,390 metres in length, and from the end point to the start point, 338 metres, 20 years of racing on this Dubai Autodrome circuit. It is incredible that in the last 2 decades we've got to see some fantastic racing. As you can see from the weather conditions down here on the starting grid, way better than we saw for either race 1 or race 2. It is a lot hotter now than it has been over the entirety of the weekend, and it's looking more of a stereotypical Dubai Autodrome circuit coming into this race. For race 3 of round 3, we are beyond the half distance point now, and it's going to be a fascinating battle out on the course. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson in the commentary box once again, and we are in for a very exciting race battle with a lot of variables coming into this race. Alex Powell, having just taken the victory in race 2 earlier this morning, having controlled his pace so beautifully, now he gets to go from the front of the grid in pole position where he rightfully deserves to be. He picked up 2 championship points for doing so. He's got a big deficit to make up to Emanuele Olivieri, but by taking the win in race 2 earlier, he gained 8 points on him in that one race. So if he does that again, then obviously he's going to keep Emanuele Olivieri from the victory dais. But there is his teammate, the Italian, who has been fantastic ever since the first race of the season. Nobody seems to be able to match him when he's got his raw pace up to scratch. And Emanuele Olivieri, definitely a magnificent contender up at the sharp end of the field. And he's got a big points lead that he's going to be very hard to extinguish. But this man is going to be going for move after move. Kian Nakamura-Berta, the number 51, the British-Japanese driver with plenty of excitement. He definitely gave us the send that we were all hoping for at the end of race 2. Hopefully he can get a decent start and not have to worry too much about sending it for this race. He has come so close to taking a win without actually having managed to do so. So there is a chance for him to make it happen in this third and final race of the weekend. But this man is back towards the front again, the Dutchman Renaud Franco, for the Axel GP PHM squad. Hopefully he can turn a decent starting position into a decent finish. We have yet to see him on the winner's rostrum in the top 3 overall, but starting P4 gives him the best chance of doing that so far. So let's see if the Axel GP team, having to make a slight adjustment there on the engine cover, hopefully that'll be a nice and easy opportunity to make it work for him. Here is Salim Hanna, the Colombian driver, starting P5 on the grid. Was very impressive in the last race, pulled off a couple of very choice overtakes, and it'll be very interesting to see what he can do from the third row of the starting grid. P5 for him, and that cleaner racing line, so if he can take advantage of that on the start, then he's definitely going to have a very strong race to continuation of the weekend. 6th position on the grid, it is the Latvian racer, his teammate Tomas Stolchamanis, who had a real struggle at the tail end of race 2. The tyres just fell apart on him essentially in terms of their longevity, so he'll need to do a little bit more to keep the tyre life favourable to the end of the race in race 3. But he is the kind of man who, if you give him a decent car and the circuit works in his favour, it could go his way. The advantage they've all got is that they've just had the Asian Le Mans Series warm-up session, so that should have pushed a lot of the surface sand out of the way. Adam Alizadeh, the young man who lives on the Palm Jumeirah, just about 15 minutes away from the circuit here. He knows this place like the back of his hand. His father, Kareem, was a great sports car racer. His brother, Keanu, has been a contender and race winner in F4 UAE last season. Let's see if Adam can get a podium out of this particular race. He's going to have pressure from this man, though, the Williams Academy ace, the Bison, Alexander Bondarev of Ukraine. What a great young contender, certainly acquitting himself well in F4. Still hasn't been a full year since he's been racing in cars. He's still very new to the sport. And as a rookie driver, he'll want to take a rookie win off of Salim Hanna for sure. Lining up in the number 7, it is the Indian driver Arjun Chaheda, who has made a big step up in his development. He got unlucky in the previous race, having to fall right down to the back of the grid. But do not count out Arjun Chaheda. He's been making great strides, and the Indian driver under the tutelage of the Mumbai Falcons racing team, he's their next big contender. They really feel that he could follow in the footsteps of Narayan Karthikeyan and Karun Chandok and go all the way to Formula One. And there are the Gainbridge Andretti colours of the American sensation, Sebastian Weldon, very much following in the footsteps of his late father, the Lionheart. The Lionheart Part 2 is definitely giving us some great action here in the Middle East. 11th on the grid, the Romanian driver, David Cosma. He had a bit of confusion in race 1 yesterday when he ended up having to make a pit stop and then joined in at the front end of the field. But he did the sensible thing. He avoided a penalty and waited to get the overtake until he had the official word to do so. Our safety car team were just telling us they tried to let him move over earlier, but he was so nervous about getting a penalty, he didn't want to jump it. So sensible stuff from David Cosma. Hopefully that maturity can give him a strong result. This man has a good chance of that as well. The Hungarian talent Martin Molnar for the Evans Grand Prix team. He is getting ever closer to that elusive top 3 position. Still working hard as a rookie, don't forget, in the potential talent. He's obviously not a full-time rookie in this championship because he did a year of GB4 last season. Here's the man who was a race winner in F4 China and also a top-line competitor in F4 Australia, Tiago Rodriguez. Very talented race driver from Macau and definitely continuing his incredible journey up the ladder of motorsport. Certainly Macau's next big hope in international motorsport. And then just in behind, a bit of a tricky qualifying for Alexander Savinkov, carrying the Italian flag in the entry list. The Ukrainian flag is on the halo. So Alexander Savinkov hoping for a really exciting race battle as he continues to surge forward with the RHGP team. Inconsistency has pretty much been his language over the last 8 races, but that first decent result surely can't be far away. For the Prema team, the Chinese ace, Chi Zhenrui. He has been so impressive this weekend in terms of one-lap pace. Top 6 ability in terms of position. He didn't get it quite right in qualifying 2. So as a result, he is way down in the pack in 15th position. Alongside this man, the Japanese talent, Yuto Suzuki, who has been carefully watched over the course of this weekend by Kamui Kobayashi, who was here this weekend looking after Jin Nakamura in Formula Regional, and also this man in the F4 Middle East Championship. So plenty of supreme talent being watched on by the original sensation maker in Grand Prix racing, Kamui Kobayashi. So the third and final race of the third weekend of the 2025 F4 Middle East Championship, certified by FIA, is about to get underway. We're on the formation lap as the drivers work their way around a much cleaner, much less dusty circuit, ready for the third race of the weekend. This is probably going to be the cleanest race in terms of driving conditions for all the drivers. It's a lot hotter, the sun has come out, the wind has died down completely, and the Asian Le Mans series have just done their warm-up session, so there's probably going to be less sand on the circuit than there has been for the entirety of the weekend. We're probably going to see a little bit more of a stereotypical F4 Middle East race this time. And of course, with this being the third race of the weekend, drivers will be a little bit more motivated to go for the move that they would be a little bit more conservative about in the previous races. So we're going to see a few decent do-or-die manoeuvres, I would expect, from the F4 Middle East contenders. This is where we're going to see some great racecraft, some sizzling overtakes, and potentially a duel for the win between the top two. Alex Powell versus Emanuele Olivieri. Teammates they are, mates on the circuit they are not. Kia Nakamura-Berta and Renault Franco on the second row of the grid beside each other, charging to the first call. Alongside the Bison, Alexander Bondarev for the Williams Academy and the Prema squad. Arjun Jaheda, ninth on the grid, the Indian alongside the American talent Sebastian Weldon. Then it is David Kozma of Romania alongside Hungary's Martin Molnar for the Evans GP squad. 13th on the grid, his teammate Thiago Rodriguez from Macau alongside Alexander Savinkov of the RHGP team. Then China's Chi Zhenrui alongside the Japanese talent Yuto Suzuki, starting 16th on the grid. 17th on the grid, the reverse grid poleman from race 2, Fu Yuhao, doing a great job this weekend, alongside Georgi Janavsky, lining up 18th position. Then it's Abdullah Ayman Kamel from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, alongside the South African Cole Hewitson in the XL Motorsport car. 21st on the grid, it's Snappy Gilmore, Seth Gilmore, the original saltwater croc, alongside Beta Al Sulaiti, doing a great job this weekend for Qatar. Then Taha Hasiba and his younger brother Tamim, the youngest driver on the starting grid. And then the final four cars, Emily Cotti missed out on a qualifying run and has to start 25th, scored a point I believe in race 2 earlier. Farah Al-Yusuf in 26th from Wanbridge and August Raber, who ended up tangling in the second qualifying session. They'll both have to start from the back. So as the cars get themselves into position, we're in for a lot of overtakes in this race. Watch out in particular for Wanbridge and August Raber on the back row. They tangled with each other and neither could set a competitive lap. So August Raber, of course, starting last, but he got the win in race 2, round 2 at Yas Marina a couple of weeks ago, so do not expect him to stay at the back for long. Also, I would expect a decent race from Emily Cotti, 25th on the grid. She was held up on her ultimate qualifying lap, probably would have got a lap worthy of 16th or 17th on the grid had it not been for that bulk. She was up in the first sector and doing very strongly. And her race 2 performance tells us that she's really getting the hang of this car and this circuit now. So a points finish is not off the cards for Emily Cotti, despite starting back in 25th. Also in the midfield, watch out for Fu Yuhao. He did a great job charging through from the lower end of the top 20 yesterday. 17th on the grid for this one. Could get points again. Martin Molnar and Thiago Rodriguez might have something in reserve. So too could Savinkov and Chi Zhenrui in the midfield. Sebastian Weldon starting 10th, likely to go through the field. But the battle for supremacy will be between Powell, Olivieri, Nakamura-Berta and Franco, with Hanna, Stolchamanis, Alazadi and Bondarev trying to score big. The lights come on and we're ready to go racing here in Dubai. Let's race one more time on the Dubai Autodrome. And it's a good start from Alex Powell, not a bad one from Emanuele Olivieri. Kia Nakamura-Berta might get alongside him, and as they charge down the straight, it could be 3 wide to the turn. Alex Powell has the inside line, Nakamura-Berta on the outside. He will go for it on Olivieri. He's through in a second. He has to back down from Powell, and that could open the door again for Olivieri. But Nakamura-Berta, great start, up in a second position behind Alex Powell. Then it is Olivieri, then Franco, and then in 5th position, that looks to me like Thomas Stolchamanis has held his nerve for 5th position. Salim Hanna not doing badly to shake off Bondarev and Alazadi. Weldon still there in 10th position behind Arjun Jaheda. So a clean start as the drivers work their way through on the opening tour. So a very good start through the first sector. Excellent work from both Powell and Nakamura-Berta. And that is a slice up the inside from Stolchamanis to take on Renault Franco. Might get the opportunity as Emily Cotti was absolutely nailed to the inside line there to try and make a move or two. And down the back straight, look at Alex Powell trying to shake off Kia Nakamura-Berta. He knows that Nakamura-Berta is going to be a big threat in the opening lap. We've got a car pulling off. That's one of the race GP cars. I think that might be Emily Cotti in the background with a problem. So I think it could be her race over already, unfortunately. Certainly one of the RHGP cars has pulled off towards the back. That is very unfortunate if that is the case. Looks as though August Raber and Farah Al-Yusuf have had a bit of an issue on the first lap. They've dropped a long way back as well. But certainly for the time being, Kian Nakamura-Berta wants to take full advantage of a very fresh car. He made a great start. Now he's got a chance on Alex Powell. He wants to take him on. He nearly sliding completely off the racetrack there in the attempt to get a clean run up the crest. So Nakamura-Berta trying to stay with Alex Powell on this opening lap. It's going to be really exciting to see how it continues. Up on the far side of the course, then down to the braking zone for the hairpin. Looks good for Nakamura-Berta. Franco looking hungry as well behind Emanuele Olivieri. This could be a great chance for Franco to try and get himself onto the podium as they come across the line. It's Powell, Nakamura-Berta, Olivieri, Franco, Stolchamanis, Hanna, Bondarev, Al-Azadi, Weldon, Rodriguez, Jaheda and Chijan Roy. Could be a couple of moves into the first corner. So far, Olivieri trying to take on Nakamura-Berta again. Looks like a bit of defensive tactics there from Chijan Roy. So nearly banging wheels with Fu Yuhao, the two Chinese drivers racing wheel to wheel, and Fu Yuhao has to go wide and take the escape road. So Chijan Roy is the one who wins in that particular battle as Fu Yuhao manages to rejoin right into the path of the pinnacle. That is Georgi Żurawski, who has to take avoiding action there as Fu Yuhao rejoins. Żurawski going to try and go right round the outside, so nearly finished that move off. Meanwhile, Renaud Franco still swarming around behind Olivieri. Still a little bit of sand out on the circuit in places, and for those who are wondering if sand is a compromised position to be in on this circuit, well, the drivers tell me that sand on the circuit here at Dubai feels very similar to water on the circuit at Spa. It is so slippery. It's going to be a close run between Franco and Olivieri. Millimetres between them at the braking zone. Franco can't quite get ahead of Olivieri. For once, he's the RHGP driver struggling for grip in the opening phase of the race because Franco is all over him. This is not the position Olivieri wants to be in. He does not want his back to the wall, and Franco is charging. The Dutchman goes wide off the curb, and he has an opportunity here to take on Olivieri once again. Franco is the kind of driver that won't ask twice for an invitation. He'll just make the move. To the crest, can he go for the move? Well, Olivieri's defending. That's exactly what Franco wants. He wants him to go offline. He'll take the run at the inside line, and Franco has a chance, but Olivieri's going to try and cover for the inside for the right-hander. Very tough stuff. Franco runs wide, tries to get back in alongside Olivieri, trying to hold it round the far side of the hairpin and back onto the home straight. And watch for Thomas Stolchamanis. He'll want a piece of it. This is lovely for Powell and Nakamura-Berta. For once, Emanuele Olivieri has got his back to the ropes. So back they go again, down the straight. Olivieri trying to hang on, and here comes Thomas Stolchamanis round the far side of Franco, but Franco's going to go long into the corner, but he's going to get boxed in. Stolchamanis holds it round the outside and uses Olivieri as a guide to hold up Franco and finish the move on the outside. So smart from the Latvian. He uses Olivieri to box Franco in, go round the outside and pick up the position. Smart thinking from the Latvian. Now the back end's trying to travel. You've got to be so careful with that back end trying to overtake the front. But for once, Olivieri does not have the pace. He is really struggling in the opening stages. Maybe if he can just settle the car in and get it back together again, he'll have the pace. So still they go further forward. Down the straight, Powell has the advantage over Nakamura-Berta. No worries there for the moment. Olivieri third, Franco in fourth, then Stolchamanis, Hanna, Bondarev. And Franco is going to try and come back at Stolchamanis. Stolchamanis has to move across the line to cover it. Meanwhile, Chijan Roy is having an interesting battle. That's with one of the Axel GP team cars. That's got to be David Kozma, the Romanian. And Yuta Suzuki having a good battle with Fu Yuhao as well, the Japanese versus the Chinese driver. And it looks as though we've got a retirement. It's Alexander Savinkov. So Alexander Savinkov is out of the race. He didn't complete the first lap by the look of it, so it was Savinkov who pulled off the road, not Emily Cotti. In fact, Emily Cotti's already made up 5 places and is trying to take on Taha Hasiba. So she's having a great race so far, already making up some moves. So it's Alexander Savinkov who retired from the race on the opening lap. Martin Molnar is down at the back of the field as well, about 25 seconds back from everybody. So problems for the Hungarian, but Kian Nakamura-Berta is hunting down Alex Powell. Bring on the battle between these two. Down the inside, that's Al-Azadi on Weldon. And he's going to drift wide. Weldon's going to get alongside him again. So the American versus the young man from Dubai. So Alizadi slots back in behind Weldon, but this battle isn't over yet. And meanwhile, we've got Renault Franco dueling away with Stoltjamanis. Franco wants to move around the outside. We know that Stoltjamanis is brilliant in turn one. He holds the move for the moment. Franco has to stay back in there. Franco holding his line in behind Thomas Stoltjamanis. Looks for a gap in the left quarter of the car. Hasn't been able to find the move to get the nose cone alongside. No safety cars at the moment. And car 27, Alexander Bondarev, gets his first warning for track limits. So he's got to be very careful. Slippery car at the moment on the circuit. Still not easy to get used to this circuit on these tyres with this car. Not a lot of downforce, not a lot of power with these cars. So you do get a bit of a slide here and there, especially when there's been sand on the circuit most of the week. So Alex Powell, 7/10 of a second on Kian Nakamura-Berta. At the moment, they're pretty even in the sectors. It's pretty even, Stevens, between them. Powell is just a fraction of a second quicker than Nakamura-Berta in sector one. Here's the move on the inside from Alizadi. He has to think about Weldon, but he's doing more to cover off Thiago Rodriguez than he is attacking Weldon at the moment. Franco tries again then on Stoltjamanis. Can he get the opportunity? He's not going to motive on the inside line. Stoltjamanis holds it. Very good work so far. It's Alex Powell just continues his run. There's nothing between Powell and Nakamura-Berta with the second split. Nakamura-Berta slightly quicker, but only by a couple of hundredths of a second. On the far side, Franco's got enough alongside Stoltjamanis that he's a threat on the exit, unless Stoltjamanis does that. Drives across the apex and moves across to the nose cone of Renault Franco. Franco had to back out of it. Olivieri's trying to settle himself back into a rhythm in third position, but I think he did a lot of work against the longevity of the tyres. Now, interestingly, there's been a turn one incident involving the 28 and the 63. That's Chi Zhen Roy and Fu Yu Hao, and that's going to be investigated after the race, apparently. So that little duel between them that saw Fu Yu Hao take the escape road. Here comes Franco, trying to dive in. Oh, you've got to be careful committing to that. As Kian Nakamura-Berta was telling us on Friday, you've got to go all in or just give up the move. You've got to be 100% committed if you're going to make an overtaking move like that one work. So Franco had to bail out quite early in the corner. Knew that they were going to connect if he kept his foot in. This is all good stuff for Salim Hanna. He's just watching this battle unfold between the two of them, and watching these two slip further back from the leading trio. But even Olivieri is not quite able to keep up with Kian Nakamura-Berta and Alex Powell, who, by the way, has made another decent lap out of it. He's just set the fastest lap, Alex Powell, 2:02.596, to put another 2/10 nearly on Kian Nakamura-Berta. That will take the gap up to about a second. So good work from the American as Renault Franco goes onto the sand to try and get up alongside Thomas Stoltjamanis. Will that be enough to get through? Franco holds the inside line. Stoltjamanis lets him have it for the apex to go slow in and fast out. But that is enough for Franco. He covers him nicely. So the Dutchman into fourth position. And now Salim Hanna will try and take on Thomas Stoltjamanis. On the inside line, Stoltjamanis protects it. Hanna's got a better run off the turn. Bondarev's not far away. It will be really tricky to see how these competitors are able to make good use of the grip they're trying to find. Olivieri's now really starting to hammer home on Nakamura-Berta. I wonder if Nakamura-Berta's just backing off a little bit to try and get a little bit of life into the tyres. Well, as I say that, he's just done the personal best second sector of anybody, so Nakamura-Berta clearly not backing down. If anything, he's throwing everything he can at Alex Powell to try and make sure the American in the lead doesn't get too far ahead. But 1 second in F4 is a comfortable enough advantage. So it'll be interesting. Right, interestingly, we've got an investigation now into the 95. That's Bader El Sulaiti, under investigation for starting ahead of his box on the grid. So he was perhaps a little bit too far forward in his starting grid position, so that could give him another penalty. I think he got one in race 2. Very unfortunate. It's a really interesting situation. Josie on the street wants to know, is this the last race for the season? It's not. We've got 6 races to go in the F1 Middle East Championship 2025 after this one. 3 in Yas Marina this time next week. And then at the end of the month, we've got 3 races on the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar as guests of the FIA World Endurance Championship. Good challenge from Salim Hanna, really starting to knock on the door of Thomas Stoltjamanis. On the back straight, Salihana wants a piece of the Latvian. Needs to get close enough to him to really make it count. Powell and Nakamura Berta are trading sector times at the moment. Nakamura Berta's just gone faster than anybody in sector 1. He really feels that he can get the win here. Up the inside, Hanna dives in on Stojamanis. Are they going to make contact? Well, Stojamanis goes out wide. Has Hanna got the move done? Stojamanis puts his foot back in, and the teammates are going to run side by side. The last time we had teammates running side by side at this point of the course, it was Bondarev and Shijan Roy, and they ended up tangling, but Hanna's got the move done on Stojamanis. There is Sebastian Weldon trying to close up on them. And Bondarev would have seen that little duel between the two of them and thought, I might just be able to get myself in there. Still the battle rages, but Salim Hanna is now in front of Thomas Stojamanis, with Bondarev in 7th place trying to hunt them down. Bondarev would love to get another rookie victory on the run. So this will be a really exciting duel as they come off the final hairpin and down the main straight. Nakamura Berta has got the gap down to 0.6 of a second on the previous lap. So this is a chance now for Nakamura Berta. He actually turns the tables on Powell. Fastest of all in sectors 1 and 2. Gets the fastest lap by nearly a quarter of a second. So Nakamura Berta is not done yet with Alex Powell. Very close stuff between the two of them. It's very tight in the way through. Great to have your comments and your questions and things coming through on the stream. We'll try and answer as many as possible, try and pick up as many of your comments as humanly possible. It's very close racing out there on the course, but you know you will want to get as much information as you can. Stephen Gunter pointing out that KNB, here Nakamura Berta, 3/10 quicker than Alex on the last lap pretty much. Here comes the chance for Bondarev. He wants to take on Stojamanis, and as a result of that, Sebastian Weldon now has a chance to close up as well. So the Prema twins are now going after Stojamanis in the sister squad, the Mumbai Falcons team. Really interesting to see who is going to get the run. Look at Nakamura Berta, he's really hunting Powell. He goes quicker again in the first sector. I say go quicker again. The fastest man in sector 1 is actually Renato Franco. Here comes Weldon, diving in on Bondarev. He's going to need to commit. Bondarev won't give him space. They slide out of the turn, and Bondarev protects. Nice work from the Bison. So Alexander Bondarev holds on from Sebastian Weldon. Weldon's going to need to be a little bit aggressive to try and get past this young man from Ukraine. The Bison versus the Lion. Bondarev versus Weldon. It'll be an interesting one as they continue their charge forward, hunting their way down to the hairpin. This will be an interesting one, and Weldon's going to change tack and find the gap on the inside of Bondarev. Bondarev's going to have to control him around the outside. He gives him the space, but he should have the inside line for the next turn, but he's had to bail out of the corner. Weldon gets it done. Great racing from Sebastian Weldon. Bondarev has to concede the position. He's still got chance. He's still got a chance or two if he looks after the tyres. We're now 15 minutes into this race without a safety car. Unusual for F4 in 2025. But a very good run from Sebastian Weldon. Powell leads, Nakamura Berta second, 7/10 back. Olivieri, Franco, Hanna, Stojamanis, Weldon, Bondarev, Alazzari and Thiago Rodriguez. And in the final points positions are Mijhena and Chijan Roy. We've got David Cosme, Yuta Suzuki, Fuyuhao, Shadavsky, Benio Salaiti, Abdullah Ayman Kamel, and then Tahir Sieber and Emily Cotti, who made up 5 places off the start, is in dirty air at the moment by the look of it. Tamima Sieber and Seth Gilmore, then Tom Hewittson, Roger. August Raber's made no progress, unfortunately. And then, of course, we've had problems from the likes of Martin Moldar, Farah Al-Youssef. The driver who pulled off on the very first lap was Alexander Savinkov, but he had the sense to pull off at a marshal's post, so no need for a safety car. Nakamura Berta still hunting down Alex Powell, still trying to chip away in sector by sector. He was quicker in sector 1 that time by a couple of hundredths of a second. They are trading sectors at the moment. So Nakamura Berta has the toe down the back straight and on the main straight, but Powell has a little bit of an edge in the corners, not by much. Nakamura Berta is spitting fumes trying to get after Alex Powell. He came into this championship knowing that he very nearly won the title last year as a rookie. So now that he's got that experience of a season behind him, he probably would have thought, surely this is my championship title for the taking. And he and Alex Powell have seen Emanuele Olivieri rack up points like there's no tomorrow. Nakamura Berta has come close to the win so many times in the first 8 races that he will be so frustrated he hasn't got one done. It's a bit like Alex Powell. Nakamura Berta's had consistency, but very similarly to Alex Powell, he hasn't had a lot of luck yet. But Powell wants to make it win number 2. Here Nakamura Berta wants to take win number 1, and the gap is down to half a second. Nakamura Berta set his personal best third sector in that lap, but it was still 0.04 of a second slower than Powell in that sector alone, but there is half a second between them. Nothing to choose between these two drivers. Nakamura Berta can look after the tyres slightly better, then he might just have a chance in the final couple of laps. But if there's a safety car, he gets a chance to reset. Nakamura Berta. Now there's the problem that you can't run too close to the car in front on this section of the course, because the dirty air starts to upset the balance of the car. You have to back off a little bit to try and give yourself an opportunity to get back in there. So Nakamura Berta could be running a little bit closer to Powell, but the dirty air is making it so difficult for him to follow in pursuit. It's all tactical, and you've got to be careful when you come off the racing line to make an overtaking move as well. I was talking to Freddie Slater about it after the Formula Regional race. The second you get offline to make an overtake, you're on the sand, and that ruins your tyres for 2 laps. So you've got to be so calculated about when you make the overtake. Olivieri, Franco, who's just dropped Hanna and Stochamanis, and Weldon's going to have a look at them. So Weldon's getting a real chance of it. The star of the F4 UAE trophy, of course. Here's Adam Alazadi having a good little tussle with Thiago Rodriguez and Arjun Chiheda. The final point is currently going the way of the Chinese driver from Prema, Chijin Roy, although he's got pressure from David Kozma, Koto Suzuki and Fuyu Hao. It's Medeiros Sulaiti in front of Georgi Zhiravsky, and then Abdullah Ayman Kamel from Taha Hasiba and Emily Cotti in the top 20. Tough stuff for Alex Powell. Every sector they go around, he's got to keep one eye on the road, one eye on the mirrors, because Nakamura Berta is hunting him down. Not going to be easy to finish this race strong. Alex Powell knows that Kia Nakamura Berta is going to be a threat all the way through this race. Sector times again for Powell across the line, 33.71. Kia Nakamura Berta, 33.66. Manages to take a few hundredths of a second out of Powell. That could be enough to get the slipstream down the straight and then set him up down the back straight into the right-hand hairpin. Every little sector has got to count for Kia Nakamura Berta. He's got to try and stay close enough to Powell to make it count in his favour. Nothing in it between them in the sectors. So Nakamura Berta just trying to stay strong here, trying to stay hungry on the back of Powell. Look at the travel in both cars. They drift through in these faster apexes, and there is a 5-second penalty, and that is for Medeiros Sulaiti for starting out of his pit box at the start. They did say they were going to investigate it. They have, and rather sadly, Medeiros Sulaiti now has a 5-second penalty. That's only going to cost him 1 place, because Georgi Zhiravsky is 1.2 seconds behind him, and then the next car is 4.8 back. So it's only going to cost him 1 place, but even so, that'll be a headache. Nakamura Berta in the draft. He's not going to be close enough to make the move, but he is trying to let Alex Powell know that he's ready to do it. The mind games have started. Nakamura Berta trying to coax Alex Powell into defensive tactics. Powell has got to stay iron as a rock. Oh, and that is Abdullah Ayman Kamel. So Abdullah Ayman Kamel has gone off the road there. I wonder if we can see a replay of that. As Abdullah Ayman Kamel clearly drifting off the road at turn 3. That was a pretty scary moment. It's a really fast section of the course there, and it looks as though he's spun completely off the road. Martin Molnar, by the way, is coming to the pits, so clearly more problems for the Hungarian. This is going to be a tough one again for Kia Nakamura Berta. All over the back of Alex Powell. Trading sector times again. Alex Powell just did a 48.2 in the middle sector, a 48.0 for Nakamura Berta. He's closer to Powell than he's ever been. That is potentially gung-ho territory for Nakamura Berta. He can send it from here. If he gets close enough down the straight in the slipstream, this is send-it territory. 7 minutes to go with a little bit of change and an additional lap. Is Nakamura Berta going to go for it into turn 1? He's close enough if he wants to slam dunk. He's going for it. He's going to ball level, and there's going to be a collision if they're not careful. Nakamura Berta keeps his foot in. They slide. He's going to keep his foot in, and Nakamura Berta picks up the overtake of the season. Wow! Absolutely formidable from Kia Nakamura Berta from 1,000,000 miles back. How did he finish that off? Sliding on the curbs, keeping his foot nailed, and Nakamura Berta pulls off the overtake of the season. How did he finish that move without contact? That is the dive bomb of dive bombs. And now he's got to defend from Alex Powell. Magic, 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 magic from Nakamura Berta. Now he's got to defend for the next 6 minutes plus change. What an overtake as Nakamura Berta sorts out Powell. Maybe he could get his first win. You cannot get an overtaking move like that done unless you've got full confidence and conviction. I really want to see that move again if we can see a replay of it, because that is genuinely the overtake of the season. You've got to have real nerves of steel, particularly with these cars, with so little downforce, with so little grip. But Alex Powell, as a sportsman, he just about gave enough room. It was minimal, but I tell you what, that's proper racing. So Nakamura Berta now has the lead. Is this going to turn into his first race win of the season? Because that will be such a relief for Kian Nakamura Berta. So we're going to see if now that he is in front, can Kian Nakamura Berta get away from Powell, or will the roles be reversed? Because now Alex Powell has got to try and stay calm as out of the car gets Abdullah Rahman Kamel. He's obviously explaining the spin. And look at Kian Nakamura Berta, he's now trying to throw Powell off the scent. Great stuff between the two of them. What an overtake that was, though. A lap ago from Kian Nakamura Berta. 5 minutes to go, and he's got 5 minutes of trying to defend from the Jamaican sensation. Third position for Emanuele Olivieri. Renaud Franco's getting closer to the Italian. I don't think Olivieri's safe in third just yet, because Franco is really stepping up the attack, and on the lap times, Franco has been consistently quicker than Olivieri in at least 2 sectors out of 3 for the last couple of laps. So Franco may get a chance of third place here. Let's have a look at the move again. Here we go. Look, Nakamura Berta is about a car and a half back, and he just surges in, dances on the curbs, but keeps his foot planted. Powell leaves just enough space, and it's the foot carried in by Nakamura Berta. Exemplary overtake. That is literally, as Sterling Moss would have explained it, flirting on the cusp of disaster. Brilliant move from Nakamura Berta, and now he's got Powell all over the back of him. So the roles are reversed. Powell is now chasing Kian Nakamura Berta. Absolutely terrific race. The third race of the weekend is usually the thriller, and we've certainly got a great duel between Kian Nakamura Berta and Alex Powell. The two men having to give chase to Emanuele Olivieri in the So let's see if Nakamura Berta can keep Powell at bay, and also let's see if Franco can get ahead of Olivieri, because they're very close together. Roberta just trying to find a little bit of a gap through that long flowing hairpin. There's about 3 different racing lines you can take through that uphill hairpin, and from lap to lap, sometimes a different line can actually make the tyres last a little bit longer or reduce their lifespan. So it's really tricky. Onto the main straight, and Nakamura Berta's got about 3 car lengths on Powell, but he still feels the need to shake him off. He doesn't want him in the tow at all. Powell's got to stay with him. Powell has almost got a second guess when Kian Nakamura Berta turns it around. To the first corner. The trouble is, that big dice of a move from Nakamura Berta will have damaged the tyres. He got a lot on the curbs there. Nakamura Berta, the car will be unsettled. That will have got a little bit of dirt on the tyres as well. Powell needs to go for it. This is his moment. Maybe he can get a charge down the back straight, because Nakamura Berta will spend the next couple of corners trying to get the car tidied up. Nothing to choose between these two in terms of talent, nothing to choose between these two in terms of determination, and nothing to choose between these two in terms of desire. Onto the back straight again. Nakamura Berta seems to have settled the car out now. Powell's chance at the bottom of the straight may not be happening on this lap, but it could happen in a lap or 2 to go with the race still in hand. Meanwhile, Salim Hanna has pulled away from Stolchamanis. Weldon is trying to attack him. Alex Powell having a think about a similar move on Nakamura Berta. Great racing between these two. This is where you really get to know what these drivers are made of. When they're in equal machinery, the only thing separating them is their level of desire, their rate of development, and the setup that the mechanics have given them. All the cars are the same. Same chassis, same tyres, same engines. It all comes down to how the team and the driver work in communication to make it all blend in. Has Alex Powell got anything left to take after Kia Nakamura? That move would have been such a surprise for Alex Powell. He had to leave space. He needs to get as many points on the board as possible, especially when the championship leader is behind them both. So let's see as they work their way to the hairpin. There is Emanuele Olivieri losing time to Franco. Franco could get him on the last lap here and get his first podium, knocking Olivieri off the rostrum for the first time in a while. Weldon's got a chance on Stojamanis as well. Bondarev just taking it nice and easy there in 8th position. As now Franco is having a think about it. Down to the braking zone for turn 1. Nakamura-Berta's got to be composed. Don't rush it. We're on the penultimate lap. So it's going to be really tight to see if Alex Powell, the Jamaican sensation who lives in Miami in Florida, carries the United States flag and the Jamaican flag on his halo. Working hard to try and take on Kia Nakamura-Berta, the British-Japanese. Emanuele Olivieri, though, is the championship leader, the Italian, working hard at the moment. He's got a big gap, but he's currently watching on his mirrors like crazy because the Dutchman, Renault Franco, is all over him. And it looks as though we've lost Tamim Hasiba. I think Tamim Hasiba's had an issue somewhere. Oh, that's interesting. Incident between Salim Hanna and Thomas Stojamanis is going to be investigated after the race. Well, that's fascinating. Nakamura-Berta swarming around trying to shake off Powell, as meanwhile Olivieri swarms around trying to shake off Franco. I think Franco's going to try and make a dive bomb on the last lap. All the signs are there. We're into the final stages of this race now. Time has run down to 0. Franco looks hungry for 3rd position. He so wants to take a trophy back to the Netherlands before this season is out, and he looks really keen to get it done. Olivieri has made big strides over the winter, but so too has Franco. Can Franco get the move? Nakamura-Berta looks like he's found a little bit of extra speed and has got a bit on Powell. That could be enough to win the race. But Franco is all over Olivieri. That's the championship leader in front of you, Renault. Go show him how to do it. Up the crest. And through the right-hander. Is Franco going to have a chance? Well, Olivieri just got it very crossed up at the top of the crest. So Franco may have a chance into turn 1. They go down the straight, and Nakamura-Berta has found a second on Alex Powell as they go into the last lap. That could be enough for Kia Nakamura-Berta to take the win over Powell, but look at Olivieri. He's running scared, swarming around, trying to throw Franco off the tail. Renault Franco just needs to keep pressuring the Italian, and he could get through. Gentle through turn 1. Don't let the car get loose. Keep it smooth. Working hard as he runs in behind the Italian. Olivieri could really do with another podium finish, but even a 4th place would pretty much put the championship in his hands heading to Yas Marina. I don't think he'll win the championship at Yas, but he's got such a big lead in the standings that it's going to be very hard for the rest of his opponents to gain the ground. Through they go again. The dip, down the banking of the crest, and onto the back straight once again. Franco, I don't think he's close enough to make the dive bomb down the back straight. And side by side, Powell's found something on Kia Nakamura-Berta. He's in front! Powell's in front of Kia Nakamura-Berta. How did he do that? Nakamura-Berta's going to try again on Powell. And how is he going to do it? They're going to bang wheels. Powell in side by side with Nakamura-Berta. There must have been a mistake from Kia Nakamura-Berta. Powell getting back in there. He came from a second back, and now they're side by side again. Powell to the inside. Nakamura-Berta around the outside. They are absolutely locked together. Nakamura-Berta's got the space around the outside. He gets it back again. Brilliant racing on the last lap of the last race of the weekend in Dubai. Neither driver is prepared to give best. Nakamura-Berta holds the inside line. Powell's got to be calculated. How did Nakamura-Berta lose the lead initially? And how is Powell coming back at him? Great grip around the outside. Can Powell finish this off around the outside? He's still in there. They are racing to the apex. Nakamura-Berta inside line. Powell outside. They'll drift wide together. They nearly go off the road together. Powell keeps his foot in. Who's going to get to the line? It's Powell. Powell gets it by 57 thousandths of a second. What a finish in Dubai! Unbelievable final lap. Alex Powell ahead of Nakamura Berta by 57 thousandths. But the question is going to be, because he went off the road on the final turn, will that count against him? Oh my word, what a finish! And they're still racing to the line in the lower positions as well. What a sensational victory for Powell, if it stands. If it doesn't, Nakamura Berta will get it. But how close was that between them? And how on earth did Nakamura Berta lose a second lead to Powell going onto the back straight? I wonder if all that hard work just killed his tyres, and on the last lap they just plummeted. But what an amazing race right to the end there between Nakamura Berta and Alex Powell. We couldn't have asked for a better showdown between the two protagonists at the top. This F4 Middle East Championship is cooking, as Nicholas Heinberg points out on YouTube. Wow, amazing. That is what motor racing is supposed to be. That is why we love it. That is why this is the toughest sport in the world. And that is why this is so entertaining. Both drivers leaving nothing to chance and giving it everything they've got. Stunning. Absolutely stunning racing. Apparently there is an incident that's going to be investigated after the race between Martin Molnar and Alexander Savinkov. So that must have been turn 6, lap 1. Nothing at the moment about Powell and Nakamura Berta to be investigated, so we'll have to see. But what an amazing race that was to the flag. And I tell you what, these stewards are really going to have a tough decision to make here, because it all depends on whether they feel that by running off track he's gained an unfair advantage. If they think he has, then he could be docked. He could go down to second. I mean, depending on the penalty he gets, he could even get 5 seconds. If that happens, he goes off the podium. But for the moment, Alex Powell crosses the line first. And what a race it was. Boy, did we have some entertainment. As Powell versus Nakamura Berta completely overshadows the championship leader. Olivieri is lucky to get third after the pressure from Franco. But Nakamura Berta straight out of the car. Alex Powell the victor for the second time in as many races. And he is delighted. Frustration from Kia Nakamura Berta, I'm sure. But what a race. What a way to end the weekend at Dubai Autodrome. This circuit always throws up some amazing races. What a performance. Alex Powell, 57 thousandths of a second ahead of Nakamura Berta over the line. Olivieri third from Franco, Hanna, Stolchamanis and Sebastian Weldon. Alexander Bondarev ahead of Thiago Rodriguez, Adam Alazari, Arjun Chaheda, and the final point going to Chi Zhenroy. No safety cars, no big accidents, and an amazing race to the death. What a battle we got there from Alex Powell and Kia Nakamura Berta. We'll be talking about that one for weeks. The best two drivers of the weekend, absolutely nailing it in the final couple of laps of the race. Jaw-dropping, as Sophia rightly points out on the stream. That is what this racing is all about.
Championship, I don't know. I've been pretty much the fastest for the whole weekend, and then we just changed the tires and the whip was just gone. So yeah, all the race was just to look behind, to defend to Renault, and yeah, that's it.
Well, fantastic stuff, and hopefully there'll be more great performances from you at Yas Marina next week. Good job.
Thank you.
Let's get a word with the man in second position over the line, Kian Nakamura after one of the most thrilling races of the season. I'm sure the fans would love to hear his stance on it. So close at the end, Kian, but you had a second advantage going into the final lap. It was a race where you pulled off some of the best moves of the season. Just talk us through your emotions at this point.
Oh, my engine cut out 3-4 times. Well, no, it's 2-3 times. One's coming out of T9. And then, to be honest, did another move. Managed to get in the lead, thought it was done again. And then it cut out again in T14. So, really enjoyed that one. Yeah, don't know what I have to do to win, to be honest. It's just, and then last corner, I don't know, it's a bit, I would say he overtook me off the track. It's probably a bit controversial. Stewart will decide anyway, so, but yeah, so fun. It was, team did a good job, to be honest. We improved the car, felt much better. So hats off to them, but I guess the engine failed us this time.
Well, from whatever stance it works out, I mean, the race of the season for us and the fans really enjoyed your commitment. Well done.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy this one, but yeah.
A very tough race for Kian Nakamura. Let's have a word with Alex Powell, who I think is probably just as stressed after a very tough race there. Alex, that was a very difficult race in the end. You managed to get lucky on the final lap with another chance, but that was so tough. It's one of those races where the first two men across the line are both frustrated.
Yeah, it was a strange race. Obviously got to the lead and managed the race in the first half, but I was struggling quite a bit to hold on. It was quite strong wind, so it was tricky to manage the tyres. Keane was on my gearbox pretty much the first half, and then he did a good move in T1. I was able to get pretty close for the following two laps, but then he was able to get a gap, and yeah, obviously I feel sorry for him because I think he had pretty much that one in the bag, but yeah, this time we got lucky, but it just shows that we still need to work hard because yeah, they're getting close.
Fantastic performance from you, and I can't wait to see how you guys are going to race it at Yas Marina. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a quick word with our three-time Rookie Cup winner, Salim Hanna, who managed to make it a hat-trick this weekend after a very tough race weekend. Salim, it's not often that we get a triple winner in the Rookie Cup, and you're obviously getting closer to it, but that was a race there towards the end. You were kind of in no man's land. You were kind of on your own at the end. Must have been frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, in the first laps, there was a lot of fighting between Renault and Thomas. I tried to do something, but I couldn't, which is, yeah, it's a bit bad what I did. But then after, I managed to overtake Thomas, and then, yeah, it took a bit too much of time because then after I was completely alone. I think we were looking pretty strong in the middle of the race with the pace. Yeah, but then I had a bit of degradation and I needed to push a lot in the last laps. So then Thomas doesn't catch me. Yeah, I mean, 3 in a row in rookie I think is pretty good. But now I'm aiming for a podium in Abu Dhabi because I think we have a great speed and we're always improving.
Can't wait to see what you do at Yas. 90 points in the Rookie Championship and a chance of a podium next week. We hope you go for it.
Thank you.
And what the podium. In third position for Italy, Emanuele Olivieri. More solid points in the championship fight and certainly looking strong heading to Yas Marina with 6 races to go. In second position for Great Britain, Kian Nakamura. The drive of a hero up at the front end. That victory is certainly imminent for the British driver. But your race winner for the United States of America, Alex Powell! 2 out of 3 this weekend and right back in the hunt for the title as he fights his way forward. The rookie winner for the 3rd time this weekend for Colombia, Salim. To the Rookie Championship in one weekend. Domination as the best rookie of the weekend here. Now it's my honour to invite Mr. Faisal Al-Salawi, the General Manager of Dubai Autodrome, to present our trophies. First of all, in third position for Italy and RHGP, Emanuele Olivieri. In second position for the United Kingdom and Mumbai Falcons Racing, Kian Nakamura Bata. And in first position for the United States of America and RHGP, Alex Powell. And last but by no means least, for the Rookie Cup win for Colombia and Mumbai Falcons Racing, Salim Hanna. Once again, we ask the drivers to focus in on the pit wall for the group photograph. What a weekend it has been. The third weekend of 5 has been a magic trio of races here in Dubai. We can't wait for the season to continue at Yas Marina and in Losail. But it's time for our drivers on the podium to get busy with congratulations to our competitors after a stunning race to finish off the weekend at the start of the championship. And for Salim Hanna in the Rookie Cup, who gets 3 out of 3. We've got a great win for Alex Powell and for Salim Hanna in the Rookie Cup, who gets 3 out of 3. We've got one race to go in single-seater this weekend on the Dubai Autodrome. Formula Regional on the way, but we can't wait for F4 to resume at Yas Marina. Bye for now.